Compliance. It's a topic that could probably just be a blog post or a slide deck at 4 p.m. on the last day of a conference, when everyone, including myself, has probably left the main room to go to the bar. But it's a mega important topic and it's complex. Fortunately, I stumbled across someone who legitimately makes it fun and engaging. She knows her shit and she's got a great product too. 20 US states now have their own privacy laws. The EU is a minefield with GDPR, Omnibus and the new 2-click cancel rule in Germany. Most Shopify apps just slap one cookie banner up and call it done. Today's guest, Elena from ConsentMo, has built a Shopify app that lets you run different banners with different consent models per US state. And that's just one example of their attention to detail. She also makes compliance content that's fun to watch, so I'm grateful she brought that energy to this chat. Elena does things a bit differently. She runs her team meetings in cafes built for toddlers, and she just got back from the White event in Paris, where she was dressed for the occasion. If that occasion was Paris Fashion Week rather than an e-commerce event. Thanks to the Support Heroes for sponsoring. We've put together a playbook on compliance to go with this episode, along with playbooks on other podcast topics like subscriptions, store credit, POS, and more. Search for the Shopify App Show in Substack. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all of that stuff wherever you're listening. Let's go. Part of the reason I've reached out to you, have you on, is I've seen your videos and content that you produce, and you really do manage to make ConsentMo and compliance and that side of things. You actually bring a smile to it, and do manage to make it fun. How do you keep the energy up every day for that?
So as you stated, like, compliance is very dry topic. Let's be honest. It's not interesting. Most people, when they hear about it, it's a bit more annoying or difficult to understand all these things. So I think my biggest challenge when creating content around it and just around what our app latest releases are and all these things is how to make it as simple enough that is actually understandable and a little bit funny, because, I think all of us, no matter what we're doing, we need to have fun. And yes, compliance is the last thing that anyone would think is fun, but at the same time, why not? And usually that's how I go with anything in my life. Like, I just want to do it in a fun way, because otherwise for me it's not worth it. So if you notice also, my content is usually like a one take thing. So that's kind of doubling down on the improvisational thing that I'm actually doing. So I like improvising on the spot. Like, I know what feature I need to explain right now. Our guys just released it. And if I can explain in the most easy way in one take, because also it's way easier for me to edit afterwards, that's the best. Like, one take, one shot, improvised. Well, so yeah, it cuts down on time for editing, for publishing everywhere. And as long as it's understandable, short and sweet, that's it.
That's good, because I don't do much editing of this show. So I do. It does need to be one take, absolutely. But to get into the product a little bit, like, I guess when you think of compliance, like, I guess there's all the individual parts like cookie banners, GDPR compliance, accessibility, and ConsentMo sort of has all of that under the one hood. So how do you sort of go about explaining all those different elements to it and keeping people awake for listening through that? How do you articulate what exactly the product does?
Yes, like currently, as you mentioned, we have a lot of tools under the same hat. Like, we have the GDPR compliance covered, then everything that is in the US, from California to all the other 19 states right now are covering their own legislations. On top of that, we have accessibility. And on top of all of that, our app has turned into a full-blown machine of having statistics, analytics on how the banner performs, full-blown cookie scanner, all kinds of things, even its own translation segment and multilingual part. So it's like a translation app at the same time. So it started being a super simple app with banner that shows here and there with these kind of buttons and those kind of preferences. And currently, it's a full-blown platform doing so many things. Like, it's grown. It's a grown baby. Like, that's how I like to refer to it when I talk with other people, specifically with me and Unida. We've been caring about for the app for like 6 years now, and the amount of things that have changed on it. Like, if you see the admin in the first days versus now, it has nothing in common. Not even the name is the same. So maybe embracing change is one thing here for sure. And it constantly evolves, and that's okay. Like, we're never married to the app as it is right now. We know it's gonna
Mm.
change maybe in 2 days, in 2 weeks, in 2 months, not gonna be the same. And that's okay. It's totally normal. We all the time have constant updates from the compliance world. We have constant feedback from the customers, and we're trying to deliver this in the best possible way. So yeah, that's how we ended up with having a banner, accessibility
Mm.
widget, and all of these things within the same app. Is it easy to
Yeah.
manage? Of course not. But is it a challenge that we accept? Yes, we do. And we like doing that. Like, that's what we've been doing. Like, a little backstory, we had our experience first in OpenCart, which is a different e-commerce platform. Maybe most of the
Mm.
people here have heard about it. But yeah, built 120 extensions for OpenCart. Like, we've hit a ceiling there. And then we were like, okay, let's
Mm.
do something for a different platform for Shopify. And this is how I pivoted back in 2019. And we
Mm.
started with 4 apps, actually, yes. One of which was the ConsentMo app, then called GDPR, CCPA, and cookie management. It was a very long name because it was first it was easier just to call it, like, one thing, not like several words.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, because of Built for Shopify, I think it was a requirement to have like a limited name within some kind of characters.
Mm.
So it was a good decision before even that kicked in. So yeah, to put
Yeah.
it and to bring it back to the question, it's constantly evolving, and we're listening to people, and we're trying to deliver what they look for in the realm of compliance. So that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess so your roadmap, what drives it is that you've obviously got the customer. Yeah, customers give you a lot of feedback and that helps you develop features. But there's also a lot of compliance stuff to keep across especially when you're trying to service people all over the world. So how do you drive that roadmap and decide which bits make it into the platform?
Yeah, we do work closely with not only customers but people that are actively using our product. And I mean people with services that are setting Google Tag Manager or Google Analytics and all of these things, because they're looking for very particular things when it comes to setting up a banner that actually not only functions and blocks cookies, but then actually sends the right signals or the right cookie-less
Mm.
signals, so you can still have accurate data afterwards. So we do keep close relations to, again, merchants, people using metrics and data and setting up things like that for merchants. So we keep close connection to these. Plus, we follow the latest trends and what is actually
Mm.
getting on the market. Specifically in the US, it's super, super dynamic because, again, from this year, we have 20 states that have joined the whole legislation wagon, let's say. And by 2027, we're going to have even more, like more and more, they're getting it in per state everywhere. So that's why
Yeah.
in consent, our goal for this year specifically was to really bring super granular consent on a state level.
Mm.
So right now, what you can do on a state level with our app is something that you cannot do with any other app in the Shopify App Store for sure, because we're really listening to people, and you can actually have different banners per state with different
Mm.
consent model, which means the different buttons you see on the banners per state, with different text on the banner per state, with different default cookie settings per state. And all of these things you can actually do per state, which is super, super important when you're selling in the US, because you
Mm.
do want to fully track people if you can track them in
Mm.
states that you don't have legislation enabled yet. But at the same time, you do really want to be careful with California visitors because there is a very particular law there. So you need to
Yeah.
have the ban set up in a very specific way. So it differs on states. And when it comes to Shopify, considering most of the e-com is running on Shopify in the US, it's a very big audience that you need to listen to carefully and closely so you can
Yeah.
make sure you're satisfying that. So yeah, it's a lot of, again, active listening. At the same time, when it comes to roadmaps and developing, and it's not only apps but also in life, you really need to know what you need to say no to. Like, saying no
Yeah.
is the most important thing, no matter what we're talking about, no matter if it's app development or just in life. Yeah, so it's like a good balance between listening and saying no to stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, what I'm going to ask you, what are some of the things that you have said no to recently?
Good question. Like, because people are coming to us all the time with some specific things, and it really depends on if this is really applicable. Like, we're asking questions. Is it something that is gonna benefit? It's gonna be beneficial for the majority of merchants, or the majority of
Mm,
merchants at this tier, because most probably an enterprise is requesting that, or some other brand, but they're like just starting up and they're asking for something very particular, which is a very small cases. It can happen in just 1% of the time. So I cannot really say a particular case right now to
mm,
say no to, but again, we're trying to be critical about the things that are coming to us, and we're assessing it like that because of, again, our roadmap is pretty stacked. We're releasing like crazy lately,
mm,
and yes, part of this is because cursor, cloud code, you know how it is. Everybody is developing like
mm.
crazy, and at some point we cannot even catch up with our team releasing stuff. It's so crazy. At the same time, even though we have these high temps of releasing, we need to be cautious with what we release. And it's not just everything that people want, let it be in the roadmap. No, of course, we are critical about those things, and we just try to ask the right questions so we can be aligned. And yeah, that's also super important on how to align the team. Like, we're trying to keep an open communication about these things. And if something comes from any member of the team, it's on the table for discussion. So yeah, we're actively listening from support, actively listening from marketing, from development as well, because these
Mm,
guys are like, okay, we're building all these amazing features, but then the architecture behind this needs to
mm,
support this. So let's think about, something that is not customer facing, but still needs to
mm.
be done. So yeah, I really like having these kind of sessions, and now we're currently planning our next session like this to gather the whole team in one place. And it's
Yep.
actually a funny thing because we're gathering exactly 1 month from today. And I decided to gather not in the office, not in a typical space we know, but we're gonna be in this cafe that is kind of built for toddlers. So we're gonna
Fantastic.
be we're gonna be in this space that is, I think it's gonna shift the perspective of people, and it's gonna maybe open up some kind of different feedback from the usual feedback we're gonna get. And yeah, we'll be in that space that usually toddlers are used to play and just crawl. And we'll be taking this space to do a little work together, but also just brainstorm ideas, which I really love. So yeah, I'm trying a different approach here. Let's see how it goes. I'm gonna let you know in 1 month.
Absolutely. I can just imagine everyone sitting around on little chairs. I always hate when I have to go to my kids' school to parent teacher interviews and stuff and sitting on the little chairs. They're bad for your back. So
Exactly.
I hope
Exactly.
but it sounds like a lot of fun.
Exactly. Again, I want to have fun. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it's compliance, but why wouldn't we have fun?
Let's face it, you didn't start an e-commerce app to spend 4 hours a day answering support tickets. That's where the support heroes come in. They provide dedicated, highly trained agents who actually understand the Shopify ecosystem and, most importantly, your business. They plug right into your help desk, they learn your brand voice, and they turn your users into advocates and 5-star reviews. Stop acting as your own customer service rep and get your time back. Head over to thesupportheroes.com today. It's a fairly common theme across a lot of app spaces at the moment is like, I always ask this now is like, are you seeing people move towards like wanting to think they can just build stuff themselves and run a Claude accessibility check and build a vibe coded cookie pop up and that sort of stuff? Are you seeing much of that across the space you work in, or you're sort of a little bit protected from that because it is such it's not something you want to risk?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, yeah, people are vibe coding stuff for sure. I think for sure they're heading towards vibe coding sexier stuff because we already established compliance
Mm.
is not the most sexy thing to develop. Compliance being a bit more legally attached as well, and all these things, people are not really stepping in that direction
Mm,
because of that, because it's being a bit more, first, it's not as sexy, second is a bit
mm,
more legally related. And even if you vibe code something, you cannot really be sure if it's covering everything you need to cover. So
yeah.
you always need to reach out to a local attorney, a local person that is actually auditing websites and stuff like that. So whatever you vibe code, it would not be 100%, it would be compliant for California, for this and that. You always need to have someone go through it and assess if it's okay. And specifically, again, it needs to be different per region. So imagine vibe coding, I don't know, 100 or 200 different instances just for covering everything you need to cover. So yeah, for sure it's a trend, but also even if it's not compliance, even if it's pop-ups, if it's something else, you do need you also always see these posts on LinkedIn all the time, like, oh yeah, I removed my $40 pop-up app and now I'm paying $4,000 because I vibe coded this and it works amazing. Well, yeah, but then again, you need support for it. Sometimes it doesn't work. You know how vibe coding works if you don't have experience, technical experience before that. So it really depends. If you've been a good developer before that, vibe coding stuff, specifically with vibe code, some things that we're using in-house, yes, they work for sure. But again, we have the expertise before. If you're just, really for the vibe and not so much for the coding, I would think twice if I want to replace all of my, apps with this. So yeah, at this point, maybe be a little bit more careful when it comes to this. Later on, who knows? Things are developing super fast. I'm super up for it. Again, we've been shipping like crazy because of that. So yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I think of, like when I think of this stuff, is like why isn't Shopify just building it all? Like you must wonder that yourselves a little bit. And it's obviously given you a good business, but
Yeah.
but yeah, but like particularly in the US, like why is Shopify not up to speed on it?
Yeah, to be fair, here is the progression of Shopify at Cookie Banner specifically. I think we all know that they used to have like Shopify apps that are dedicated apps within the App Store, and they had like a very poor rating. Specifically, the one for the banner was, if I remember correctly, and I think I do, it was 2.7 rating of their compliance app. Let me put it this way. And
Yeah.
then they embedded that into the platform. So you have some kind of a basic banner that is not geo-targeted. It doesn't work with Google Consent Mode, but they have it in the platform. So
Yeah.
I think it's very crucial to have something in the platform and understand that if you're just starting your store, it needs to be there. You need to have something at the start. But then if you're no longer playing, in the Mickey Mouse League, or you need to really grow, you need to ship worldwide and all these things, you need to have granular consent here and there. You need to go with a solution that actually cares about all these things, like across the board. So yes, the platform, I think it's mandatory for the platform to have something as a base, to have something to start with, which Shopify already has, and that's okay. But once you decide to grow and go a bit further, one step further, you need to really go with something that is more into all of these requirements, all of these setups, integrations, scanning, and all these things, which again, Shopify is not covering. And I think it's not their job to cover it. I think their job is really to allow you to have something more basic. But with Shopify going more and more into the AI, I think the more you go into the AI, the less you actually step in compliance, because that's where I have an issue with AI vibe coded banners. Like if you put AI into the topic of compliance, I think you're already losing the compliance a little bit. Like, doesn't that make sense? Because
Yeah.
if something else is managing your data and you don't even know how this data is being managed, how does this work?
Yeah.
So, the more you step
Yeah.
into AI, which is amazing, the less actually you are in compliance, which is kind of understandable. So yeah,
Yeah.
especially when we're using AI, for example, in our product, it's mainly for further arranging cookies, because we're creating this database of cookies. So once you scan your store, the arrangement and everything, classification happens automatically. So again, it works with our own database of cookies, and that's where AI actually enters. But then when it
Yeah.
comes to really servicing and setting integrations for, your Google Pixels, Google Consent Mode, all of these things, it needs to happen in a very, very technical, specific way. And it's not just,
Yeah.
okay, AI is going to take care of that. It doesn't work this way. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're also very particular on how we implement AI into the product. And when it comes to compliance, it really needs to be human first. that's why our support is also human, because yes, we do have like a bot that actually enters from time to time to reply some the most basic questions, but when it comes to
Mm,
setups, to compliance checks, to all of these things, it's a human. Like an actual human needs to go and check these things. And people like to talk with humans. Like, let's be real. Even when a human
yeah.
agent enters from our end, we've seen so many times people saying, talk to human. Like, they already
Mm,
expect that there is the person on the other side is not a human, which is so funny to
yeah.
me because we actually have human people on support. And that's our main thing. Like, we don't want to get rid of that. We want to keep humans there because people
Mm,
like to talk to people. And yeah, that's the main thing,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I've even seen just like I've got some AI bots and stuff trialing that on some of my apps, and yeah, you just see like the conversations as soon as they're talking to a bot too, their tone changes immediately. Like they're not talking to it nicely. They're not saying it. Which that's fine because you're talking to a computer, but that sentiment like that carries through to the way they feel about your product, I think, as well. And so to me, that's where it's like you need to make the threshold for getting through to a human and having that real interaction very yeah you need to make sure it's there, otherwise yeah you destroy it destroys your brand really quickly, doesn't it? So no, that's
100%. Yeah, exactly.
and now I've got one more question about compliance. I wanted to sort of tap into the, I guess, sort of where what next? What are the things on the horizon? Like I know the big one I'm seeing at the moment is the in EU the cancellation laws that yeah people are having to now start to provide the option to cancel an order after you create. That's something you're building to cater for, I believe.
Yeah, it's a currently location-based topic, very popular in Germany.
Mm,
So it's about canceling orders, actually, not so much into the compliance, like canceling the right to
yeah.
follow or track someone, but really for orders. And that's like a super hot topic on Reddit right now. Merchants are asking everywhere. So yeah, for sure we are doing something in that direction as well. And the biggest thing that actually came around when November, October, I was in Bali for sure, so I remember that. So it was last year when people started talking about the digital omnibus. So those are the
Yeah.
big things actually coming and to be further explored and discussed in the next weeks, months, because also we have the Google's CMP event next week, actually on 3rd of June. We have 12 our best people going there because it's a more technical conference and they're gathering all of the CMPs to discuss exactly these things. So the digital omnibus, to put it shortly and kind of in a most simple way, let's say you're running a bakery and you have multiple laws that you need to follow through, like, okay, one for hygiene, one for allergens you have in the pastries, one for I don't know, something else around your space. The whole idea is to really put everything into one. So it's more simpler, especially for smaller brands and businesses. And again, at some point, most probably cookie banners will become something obsolete and the whole thing should become more on the back end, on the browser level, which is also something that like compliance should evolve for sure. And even though something is working on the background of stuff and it's not exactly in your face with a banner, you're still gonna need to track signals and check if people actually agreed on something or not, so you can show them ads or not, or like target them with marketing things. So even if it's that, compliance apps and solutions would not disappear entirely, but you'll just need to change the way we work, which is again welcoming. Like we don't want to do the same thing over and over again. Let's see how it evolves, and also let's see how we can make it easy for merchants. I think at the end of the day, what all of the app developers are doing is making life easy for merchants. For us, we know it very clearly that people, and specifically merchants, don't want to spend time in consent with admin. They just want to have things set up and they need to know that everything is working okay. So we're working towards that direction. So set and forget. You said it once, and okay, if you make some kind of a major change or something is changed in the store, you either get alerted or something will get flagged and you would know. So yeah, you need to spend as minimum time as possible in these
Yeah.
things. You just set and forget it. And then you need to just focus on your business. So that's every time when I finish a demo or even if when I start a demo with a merchant, I'm just like, we just need to know these 3 things for you, and we can set up
Mhm.
everything for you. Like, it's okay. You need to focus on what you're doing on your business, on your product, and we can do the compliance thing, because that's not the thing that you're waking up with. Nobody's waking up with how are my consent records doing today? No, you just want to see how
Yep.
many ownership things, and you need to make sure this is taken care of on the background. That's it. So yeah, we're working in that direction, and we hope, of course, most of our merchants already appreciating that. So let's see
Yeah.
how it changes. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's it. That's the best thing that people can have, I guess, is not having to log into ConsentMo. And I hope that what you said about there'll be a day where we don't need to have cookie banners, which I think are the whole purpose of them is I get why they had to happen in the first place, but yeah, they're just wallpaper now, aren't they? And they're not really not really actually achieving much. So hopefully we get to a point where we don't need them very much. But
Yeah, we
I
kind of anticipated that, because do
yeah,
you see our name? Our name is ConsentMo. It's not
yep,
cookie something,
yep,
something cookie, la la la. So because we wanted to, I don't know, imagine ourselves into the future and just put like the vision. And we were
yep,
like, at the end of the day, it will be all about consent. It will not
yep,
it will not be about cookies maybe someday, because conversations about scrapping cookies was, I don't know, 2 years ago from Google. I remember that clearly. So when we were deciding to rebrand and just put like the name, we were like, okay, it needs to be something more durable and sustainable. So let's talk about consent. So that's how we also decide on the name. It's not just, let's do cookie something. Like, most of the guys are already cookie something. We know that. We just want to be more in the consent. So yeah, let's see how it goes. We're super interested. We are adaptable for sure. We want to see how we can do this in the best possible way for merchants. Help them with the transition as well, because most probably there will be a transition on that. So let's see. We're just curious.
yeah.
We're ready.
Yeah, wonderful. I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to try, and I've never even tried sharing a screen in this app before, but I wanted to show you a website that I think should still have a cookie banner. So I helped my 11-year-old daughter vibe code this website for her business selling cookies, and yeah,
Yes.
I'm hoping this cookie banner won't ever be redundant. So yeah, it warns you that we've got lots of cookies, and yeah, when you accept, I think it even makes the cookies explode. So yeah, so I hope that that's the only cookie banners we're seeing in the future.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. Wow.
But yeah, I don't think it's very compliant, that site though. So yeah, don't go and look at it with too much of a fine tooth comb. But now look, before we wind up, I wanted to just touch on a bit of a different topic. I know the wine event over in Paris
Yes.
last week was getting a lot of coverage. It was a bit of a who's who of the Shopify ecosystem over there. So yeah, love to hear a bit of a recap of that, and yeah, what the event was, and yeah, what sort of the word on the ground was out of Paris.
Yeah. So I really love that you brought this up, because we've been going to the White event for 3 years now. So it's our third year at the
Mhm.
White event. And I can see the progression. At the first year that it was me and Unida, our technical lead, people were not really that aware of cookie banners, or even
Mhm.
if they were really using just some local solutions. On the second tier, people were already knowing us. They already used ConsentMo. It was really nice that we got this switch and this flip. And now on the third year, because we had even more people, I think we had 250 people this year. People were actively looking for us, and they were like, "Hey, I've seen your content. I love so much,
Mhm.
how you bring compliance, you make it so simple." And people were actively looking for us, and they were like, I'm looking to switch to ConsentMo. Let's talk. And I'm like,
Mhm.
yes, yes, that's why we're here. That's why we've been doing this. Look at this. So yeah, I really like being branded, by the way. So every time we
There
go
you
to
go.
this, specifically the Paris event, I don't really be. I don't want us to be one of the multiple T-shirts, kind of, the sea of branded T-shirts. We're
Yep.
in Paris. Like, I said it, I think, times under Matt's post. This is the Paris Fashion Week of e-com events. So when it comes to that, I usually just like to slap a little logo on
Yep,
our
yep.
either a shirt or a dress or something else. And people really enjoyed that because imagine this, we were talking with agencies that are working with one of the biggest fashion brands in the world. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, they don't want
Yep,
to see
yeah,
a branded T-shirt. If they want to talk to you and do business with you, they want to see something a bit different. So know your
yeah.
audience. We're going to a Paris event. Come on. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Matt did an amazing job. Like everything he talked about organization, people speaking, just gathering all of these amazing people, like colorful tapestry of people in one
Oh,
place was very nice. We talked with so many people I knew from before from the .dev, but also new guys, new agencies. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that.
mm.
And on top of everything else, it was my birthday, so it was extra special. People actually surprised me. I think the guys from Zapier surprised me with this cake, and they actually made me cry on the spot. So for me,
Oh
it
dear.
was a super, yeah, it was super emotional day, let's say, and I really enjoyed it. Like it was a full spectrum of emotions, and I enjoyed it so much. For sure, going next year again. Matt is doing an incredible job organizing these things. So pretty much it's the European version of the Shopify gathering. So
Mm.
I think no matter what you're doing, you need to be there. If you're in Europe, you need to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. No, I've got to make sure I find something better than just getting T-shirts for when I go to Toronto this year. Now, I don't want to do a T-shirt.
What?
I'm
A
just
good
not sure
stack
what
of
to do.
stickers.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
good stack of stickers always help. You can just put
yeah,
them
yeah,
anywhere, and then
yeah.
it's like it's something interesting. So yeah.
No, I look forward to seeing what you've got up your sleeve for Toronto. So, no, look, no, Elena, thank you so much for jumping on today. Like, I've just checked the time. We've ticked well over half an hour talking about this, and it's been a really enjoyable conversation. And yeah, no, look, I think it's such an important area, and to like it's I guess the purpose of an app is to make stuff easy for merchants, and you obviously worked so hard at doing that and making that making that true for people. So no, thanks for sharing everything today, and I hope everyone listening has got as much out of this conversation as I have. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much for the time as well. I'm not sure when 30 minutes actually went by. I just like to yap. Maybe I need to change my LinkedIn handle to the LinkedIn yapper girl. I yap a lot. But then again, that's how you know if time flew, so it went really nice. So it's also a testament for you. I enjoyed really being here. I hope it's helpful for anyone that is listening. And if you really need to check your compliance or just do something in that realm and it feels extremely boring for you, come to us. We make it a bit more fun.
No, awesome. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll be back with another episode of the Shopify App Show soon.
Nice.